my final point, smart growth requires social innovation. So as we begin to think about plug-in as vehicle and as metaphor, what does that really mean in terms of management systems, the way we govern our businesses, our communities, for that matter, our families? This, I would argue, is, in fact, the great innovation challenge going forward in the 21st century. The great innovation challenge going forward. Yes, battery capacity, yes, fuel cells, and the like are difficult, require rigorous and robust investigation, exploration, R&D, but really it comes back to how we as human beings and the technology that's right in our brains interact with each other and design the programs and the systems that enable the successful application or introduction of the technologies, of the engineering solutions. And this, I would argue, is what I would call the yawning gap in Bill Mitchell's book. Because Bill and his colleagues talk a lot about the products and the technologies. They argue that this is the time to begin to integrate all of these technologies, but they don't actually suggest the ways in which decision makers, city councils, planning commissions, presidents, will go about building the coalitions to invest in, to manage and govern and operate over time these new networked and integrated technologies that make smart grids, smart cities, smart nations. So the politics is hard, everything else is soft. That last point about ideology. So one of the great challenges in building the future is, in a sense, moving past the brilliance of our own ideas. And I want to introduce just quickly two thinkers, two scholars who have something interesting, I think, to say to us today as we try to create the new management systems for smart cities, as we try to plug in the different technologies that will make for smarter, better places. First, Mancur Olson, the great US economist who brought us the collective action theory, or really the problem of collective action. He also warned us that modernizing states can become entrenched and deeply partisan, and that entrenchment in our politics can cause a brittleness which does not allow for evolution, for adoption of new and better approaches, and for innovation. So Olson warns us that if we want to move to a new and better future, we need to think very seriously about our politics and our decision making and ensure that we do not become too entrenched in our partisan ways. And this point is echoed more recently by Jared Diamond in his book Collapse: Why Some Societies Succeed and Others Fail. Diamond making the case again that societies that become too entrenched in their own ideologies and ignore reality, feedback from nature, feedback from other cultures, tend to find themselves on the pathway to collapse. I like that dynamic volume control. Thank you. So Diamond and Olson, I think, are as important to consider as we move forward into this new sustainable mobility future as so many others. And we can look as perhaps antidotes to what Diamond and Olson warn against to other nation states. I'd like to believe at this point in time that Korea is really becoming the poster child, the poster nation for the new, more sustainable, smarter city and smarter nation development strategy. Two examples: Seoul, South Korea, the mayor who's taken the reins and just in the last 4 years has cut air pollution by 20%, is swapping out the entire fleet of transportation buses and taxis within the next 5 years to hybrid and electric, and is now working with the National University, KAIST, to redesign the infrastructure of the city so as to run essentially all the transportation on a battery system with the key infrastructure underneath the roadways. About 20% of the roadways to be excavated and developed, allowing the rest of the city essentially to go untouched. And then New Songdo, where Cisco, an American Boston-based developer, United Technologies, and a number of other American companies are actually prototyping this sort of new smart/sustainable city model, fully integrated, fully networked, the kind of place that Bill Mitchell argues we need to create to reinvent the auto age. And then I would point to a couple of examples here in the US as evidence of, or proxies for, what might be a kind of Korea model, and that is HUD's new program, the Office of Sustainable Housing and Communities, which explicitly requires DOE, DOT, EPA, HUD, and other agencies to collaborate, to work together as they think about investments in municipalities and regions, requiring a networked integrated management system, and then networked integrated programs, transportation to housing. Likewise, DOE's new innovation, energy innovation hubs, which have a decidedly multidisciplinary and integrated approach. And then other examples which we can talk about in a second. And I'll leave you with this, one of my favorite media outlets, The Onion. And this is sort of, well, it captures the problem, the Mancur-Olson problem and the problem vis-a-vis transportation when we talk about how we move toward a new and more integrated future, right? If we're going to want to and need to invest in new systems, new infrastructures, that's the responsibility of each and every one of us, not just our political leadership, but we who use these services, who purchase them as citizens and as consumers, okay? So I guess we do need to take a bit of humor and cue from The Onion, because these are truly challenging, if not distressing, sorts of issues. So with that, open it up.